Not to worry, Daniel. They're not asking you to do anything wrong. No official documents. We would, of course, pay more for this information.
Right, y'all, welcome back to Combat Arms channel. Okay, so today we're doing a slightly different video. It's still going to be kind of like reactionary in a sense, but as opposed to kind of talking from my infantry background, I'm going to be talking more from my intelligence background. So today we're going to be talking about how spies can actually be recruited via social media, specifically more of like those professional networking sites such as LinkedIn. So today we have a video that we are going to be showing some clips of. So this is titled the Never Night Connection. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty well done. You know, the acting is good. The editing is solid. It's not like too corny for what it's supposed to be covering, which is awesome because you can kind of take it a little bit more seriously. But this is kind of based off of the Kevin Mallory case from 2018. So kind of the background for that, Kevin Mallory was a CIA case officer, ended up getting contacted via LinkedIn back in 2017, ended up traveling to Shanghai to actually meet with this Chinese intelligence officer. And again, when you're kind of trained, especially in the CIA, you can kind of understand who is contacting you and why they're contacting you. So yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. He ended up getting sentenced in 2019 to 20 years in prison as a result of him meeting with this Chinese intelligence officer and of course passing information. So that's kind of what this video is based off of. It's going to be kind of showing the process as far as how it looks from that initial contact and how those intelligence officers can kind of build that relationship to get somebody into kind of committing espionage. And it's pretty interesting. It's pretty kind of cool how they break it down. There's a lot of flashbacks included. So yeah, again, it's very tasteful, but it is 26 minutes long. So I'm not going to react to the video in its entirety, but we are going to show some parts and kind of break it down like that. And before we jump into that, we can kind of talk about social media and why it is such a great tool for these foreign intelligence officers to contact people and then again, kind of moving them into a relationship to actually recruit them. So of course, with social media, the advent of social media, it's been in the headlines a lot. You know, there's kind of like the positives, there's the negatives. It brings people together. But of course, talking from like the intelligence aspect, it's great for intelligence officers because one, it provides a lot of ambiguity as far as who's actually reaching out. You can just make a fake account. You can make, you know, fake pictures, fake names. It provides a lot of kind of backstopping as well when you're talking about more of these like professional networking sites, because again, you have these sites like LinkedIn where people will kind of post all their accomplishments, post their positions, basically their entire resume saying, this is my experience, this is what I work with, this is the information, the technology that I work with. So all you have to do is, if you're an intelligence officer, is go on that profile. You know, they're usually public. That's kind of the point to kind of allow for that networking. And then they can kind of just spot and assess who they're trying to recruit. So if they're trying to get access to certain information, all they have to do is go on your profile, see if you've kind of worked around that information, around that equipment, and be like, okay, this person has worked with this. He or she is either retiring soon or they have already retired. So there's a potential that they might be looking for a job. So of course you can kind of reach out and you can kind of keep it pretty light. Like, hey, I understand you worked with this kind of equipment or this information. I need like a subject matter expert to potentially write me like a small paper on this. What are your comments? What are your opinions on this? How do you think it could be effective in this sort of domain, in this sort of field, in this sort of use? And it kind of starts off like that. And again, it's very easy for them to kind of cast that out and start sinking that hook, especially, you know, if they have money to offer for this paper, they can offer you some money. They can offer you to, you know, fly you out and have you do a speech. You know, they can treat you very well. They can start offering some hotel rooms, some more extended visits. They can start introducing you to other people. And then again, it just gets more and more convoluted and you get more and more kind of wrapped up into this sort of relationship. And you might not necessarily know where it's going, but again, that's kind of why we're doing this video. So you can kind of identify it a little bit better if it does happen. And this is something that is happening a lot. It's happening every day, multiple times a day. And it's affecting pretty much any sort of fields. Subject matter experts from a bunch of different fields are going to be contacted because, of course, you have the foreign intelligence officers that just wants to get access to certain information. And that's, you know, a very easy, low threat way of doing it. Okay, so jumping into this video, again, it does it in a very nice way as far as like the storytelling is concerned. So this is basically kind of like the opening where they're like, all right, we have someone that we, you know, pretty much believe or can confirm is conducting espionage.
What's this?
This is someone targeted on Raven who may have sent classified information to Chinese intelligence.
Never Night Cowboy.
Let's keep an eye on it.
Okay, a little, dramatized, of course. It's always nice to kind of be able to catch someone who is kind of conducting espionage for sure. But yeah, maybe the excitement kind of adds a little bit of drama to it as well. Okay, so of course, this is how they're showing it. Again, for whatever reason, something pinged. So now this guy is being looked at for espionage. Okay, so that moves more into how this relationship kind of started. So you can see here, they have the text of the message that was sent to him, kind of inviting him to come and do the speech. And then it transitions to him kind of finishing his speech and goes more into kind of explaining how he was kind of unwittingly doing all of this stuff and then just getting pulled more and more into that relationship to where they were kind of asking a little bit more out of him to the point where, it was getting more into the espionage realm of things, providing more sensitive information.
Your Landry.
So, yeah, subject matter expert, kind of talking about very specific things. I don't know what they had back there. Maybe some submersible or something.
Wow, thank you. It is once again my pleasure to be in your great city.
Once again, so yeah, okay, not the first time. Yeah, so very, based off of the Kevin Mallory thing. Okay, so it shows him at a bar, he's getting a drink, and then his wife ends up calling.
Hey, sweetheart.
She
How'd
picks
your
up on it
speech
faster
go?
than him.
It went well. It went very well.
Have they asked for anything more from you?
Like, well, somehow not picking up on kind of what's happening, but
As promised.
again, getting paid with cash in an envelope, yeah, kind of a good indication that these guys probably don't have the best interest for you specifically. Or they kind of, expect you to play
I trust
along.
your people liked what they saw.
Yes, your document is very informative.
I was talking about the presentation.
The presentation, yes, very good. Lots of pictures. The students should be pleased.
Pictures always help.
Sorry it took so long to get you the information.
About the document, my colleagues agreed the information was perhaps too, how you say, vanilla? They're requesting more
There you go.
specific details regarding your experiences with the Navy's program.
You know I have to be careful here. I'm comfortable with everything I've given
I'm glad
so
he knows
far,
that.
But strictly speaking, I don't know how much further I could go.
Not to worry, Daniel. They're not asking you to do anything wrong. No official documents, just what's in here. That belongs only to you.
Yeah, and this is kind of like a very common sort of TTP or tactics, techniques, and procedures. This is very common as far as them saying, yeah, we're not asking you to get this classified information. We're not asking you to break any protocols or you kind of put yourself in trouble. We're not asking you to provide us with any classified documents per se. What we're only asking you to do is to talk or write about your experiences, what you remember. And of course, you can imagine if you've been kind of out of that for a while, you might not necessarily remember what exactly was classified, at least based off of the security classification guide. You might not necessarily know that because you worked with it kind of all day, every day. All this information is just kind of in your brain. And even if you're trying to be like a little bit more vanilla, if they can aggregate certain details, then it can kind of move into more classified information. So it's very common for them to kind of be a little bit more non-committal about it and say, we're not asking you to give us classified documents yet. We just want you to kind of talk about more of your kind of in-depth knowledge as a subject matter expert.
We would, of course, pay more for this information.
You've been more than generous already.
And we're happy to provide it, Daniel. Your cooperation is opening the ocean's resources to the betterment of all nations. Come, we must celebrate today's success.
And then again, another very common, two more kind of common TTPs, just kind of as opposed to talking more of how this benefits us, talking about how this is going to benefit all of humankind, all of mankind. this is good information for everybody, for the advancement of society. It's not for us. It's not what we want per se. And then just kind of, before he can answer, I'm going to let you think about it. I'm going to treat you well. Let's go get some drinks. Of course, it's going to be on me. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that you're comfortable. And again, it kind of puts them into more of like a quid pro quo sort of relationship where they're getting treated really nicely. They're getting a lot of really nice stuff. So now they feel like they almost need to give back and kind of go along with what's happening. Okay, so now he's at the bar and now he's kind of connecting some of the dots a little bit.
Dan,
and again,
are
this
you
is
still
where
there?
the flashbacks come in more.
I need to call you back.
It's like, oh, I know that guy. he's in some trouble. He's in deep water.
To see many like me here.
There's much opportunity here for Americans. You have come at a good time.
He's like, ooh.
Will there be anything else?
Yeah, can you turn it up?
And she's just like, oh no, we don't need to be
Volume.
watching.
I need to hear this.
We don't need to be watching any of this.
Wait. What happened?
Okay, so a little corny there, but again, you kind of understand it. There's a pretty established system in place. It's not just that intelligence officer that he was meeting with. There's a lot of other people kind of in on it. Whether you have people who are, doing surveillance on him, people who are kind of helping to facilitate, if he is kind of having these talks or these thoughts, then kind of, again, just make sure to steer him more towards what the intelligence officer is kind of asking for. So again, now he's kind of, catastrophizing, spiraling a little bit, and now he is asking his wife, like, hey, I can't get access to this news program anymore. Can you tell me about what's happening with this dude that I know?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Does this have anything to do with you?
No, but I think I know him. Sort of.
Got it.
Put the phone up to the speaker.
He's freaking out now.
Approached by Chinese intelligence operatives using the popular resume hosting website Raven.
Raven.
Can you see me now?
No, nothing.
I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong. May we proceed anyway?
That's crazy. Go
I'd like to know
figure.
what you're offering.
Here at the Southeast Asia Maritime Institute, our desire is to create an ethical and environmentally sound framework for the development of the world's deep sea resources.
And again, like he's just probably reading this off of a script. Like, how can we sell this to this person so they're not getting suspicious on what we're asking them to do, or who we are, what we're affiliated with.
We are seeking high-profile experts in the field to write scholarly papers on this subject.
I'd hardly consider myself a high-profile expert.
And here comes the
According to
flattery.
your information on Raven, you managed the U.S. Naval Unmanned Undersea Vehicle program for 10 years.
One of many, yes, but I can't discuss my involvement. It's confidential.
Not to worry, Mr. Landry. We have no interest in military matters.
And again, just kind of removing some of that suspicion while kind of adding some of that flattery. Like, okay, you're trying to discount yourself, but trust me, you are a subject matter expert. You are somebody that we want to hear from because you have something important to say. And now they're going to actually provide him with the offer and explain that, we will compensate you for what we're asking you to do.
Then what we are offering you, Mr. Landry, is $1,500 for a white paper about how new unmanned vehicle technologies will affect undersea exploration. If it is found favorable, you will fly to Shanghai to deliver it at the university. All expenses paid. Does
Of course.
this interest you?
And again, like from an intelligence perspective or intelligence mindset, it's very clear, very obvious. But again, the kind of different education that people will get, it varies very greatly depending on their organization, also just their kind of exposure, and just if that has become a trend in their organization to where their security personnel or counterintelligence personnel are actually providing this education to them. Because otherwise, it just sounds like a good deal and, something that you shouldn't reasonably pass up. And again, now he's kind of freaking out. He wants to go and get to the bottom of everything, kind of understand what he's really getting himself into. And, this taxi driver is just not helping with this dude spiraling.
Sorry. Girlfriend, WeChat. Do you have WeChat? It's better than Skype.
Here, I want you to use this phone to contact me. Use the WeChat application for voice, text, image, and file transfers. I'm reading your friend list.
Okay, if somebody's giving you a phone and saying this is how we're going to communicate, you're probably in the thick of it already. You could basically consider yourself a recruited source for this intelligence officer because, yeah, they're like, you know, we've already talked. I'm going to make sure that we can make this a little bit easier, a little bit more hush-hush, a little bit more convenient potentially. And WeChat is an actual app. This also opens the door for intelligence officers to introduce certain things called covert communication. And this is actually something that happened with Kevin Mallory. He was given a covert communication device, and that's basically a device that's very, very hard to track. So if you're, you know, the US intelligence agencies that you're trying to figure out if this guy is communicating a certain way, it's going to be very hard to track, especially, you know, with this device, with this app.
WeChat. I've never heard of it. Is it any good?
It is completely secure from both governmental and matrimonial surveillance. Don't
Okay.
worry.
Red
it's
flag.
very popular in China. Much better than Skype.
He's like, oh boy. They're probably tracking it too. They're like, yeah, he's coming our way. Let's bounce. Oh yeah, they're definitely gonna answer that, huh? Okay, so now he's showing up to where the headquarters was, or was told to be. So now he's, okay, I'm trying to meet this dude. I know he, you know, should be working here. Let me just go to his office so I can kind of explain and kind of talk about my concerns.
One Manlo.
Southeast Asia Maritime Institute. I need to see someone.
Close. Open tomorrow.
Thomas Wu.
Yes. Close. Tomorrow.
It's like, homie, you're not getting to him. And that's not his name. He's like, well, I'm screwed. I can't even go back to the US now. All right, so now he's still trying to do his research, and then his wife calls him up with some pretty distressing news.
Hey, sweetheart.
Dan, I need to know right now if you're in any kind of trouble.
What do you mean? What happened?
Rob Carson just called.
He's sweating now. He's like, dude.
I thought it odd you would reach out to me after all these years.
It's not what you think. Rob?
I can't give you that kind of information. And frankly, it pisses me off that you thought I would.
No offense intended, Rob. Please.
Great American right
Forget
there.
Honestly, I wasn't even asking for myself. I'm just trying to point some people in the right direction. That's all. Really.
This dude's like, I'm not having any of that.
Lost my appetite. Give my best to Diane.
Okay, so asking his buddy for some information because he doesn't necessarily have the access anymore.
Did Rob say?
It's not so much what he said. He wanted to know where you were. Were you okay? Then he asked if I was okay. Then he said he was sorry and he hung up. What does he have to be sorry for?
Oh, dude's in some trouble now. And yeah, from this point on, it kind of, you know, moves pretty quick as far as him just getting wrapped up. So he makes one last ditch effort to, you know, try and find this Thomas Wu.
How may I be of assistance, sir?
Ah, English. Good. Please, I am just trying to locate a friend of mine, Thomas Wu. He works for the Southeast Asia Maritime Institute.
There is no Southeast Asia Maritime Institute.
Oh.
You must be mistaken.
The mistake is
I'm gonna turn you
yours.
around.
I was here, right here, just a couple of months ago. Could you look again, please?
Psych.
I am sorry. You misunderstood. There is no Southeast Asia Maritime Institute anywhere. I can find no record of any company under that name in Shanghai.
And of course, yeah, it's very common for these people to reach out. A lot of times they will have a legitimate organization with, you know, some level of backstopping that they can kind of associate themselves to. But of course, there are just cover organizations that they can say they work for just to make it a little bit more believable. So then he's stressing. He's like, you know what? I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to go back to the States. And we'll see what happens from there. And yeah, it's not the best case by any means for him. You probably don't, yeah, seeing the dude in the suits once you get off of a plane, probably a little scary. And then when there's a couple more, yeah. Like, well, this is our dude. Yeah, and they might not necessarily be as kind of overt about this, like, hey, you're going to come with me, we're with the FBI. They might make it a little bit, you know, easier so people aren't kind of seeing everything that's happening here. But yeah, for drama's sake, it's pretty good. It's like, well,
Rebecca,
Do these things ever work?
never. Listen,
relatable.
Landry sent classified information over the intelligence officer's hacked WeChat account. Confirmed.
Can we pick them up?
Got him.
left for China this morning. We can get him on the way back.
Let's go talk to the wife.
Dang.
So you're still coming back as planned?
Wish I was home already.
I wish you'd never left.
Good night, sweetheart.
Got him. Damn, that wife. Oh, dude.
He's a good man.
Now, to ask the wife for assistance with this, like, she's got to be like just a very, very patriotic American to be like, yeah, I'm gonna definitely help you out with arresting my husband. But maybe there was like some plea deal or something similar to that to kind of help him out. But yeah, he's kind of screwed at this point. So.
Daniel Landry.
There you go. Got him. And now there's going to be somebody else in the bar looking at this dude. This is actually pretty cool. It just kind of transitioned to like this farm of people who are reaching out on social media to try and establish more of these relationships. Like, yeah, well, that's the last one. It's all good. We got like 50 more in the works right now. It's like one of those scam call centers, except it's for, you know, recruiting spies. Oh, they're still using Thomas Wu. I feel like they would have burned that name already. Oh, there you go. New company, at least. Yeah, okay. And you guys kind of get the idea. So again, I think this video does a good job at kind of showcasing those TTPs, those methods that the foreign intelligence officers can actually use to recruit people. Again, it could be wittingly or unwittingly. They have ways to just get people more and more invested to the point where they're kind of a little bit too stuck in, or they're just not aware of, you know, what they're doing or the implications of what they're doing. So again, kind of understanding these methods, you can kind of at least predict it, or you can identify the indicators of, you know, what this is actually looking like. If you are contacted via message or email or something on like one of these social media websites, especially the professional networking websites, you can kind of understand those indicators as far as them identifying themselves as being with a certain organization, how they're trying to target your specific knowledge set on certain information, and again, kind of moving more into those methods to get you a little bit more invested with the quid pro quo, giving you, you know, compliments, flattery, and then also, of course, treating you to these nice trips. Understanding that those are common methods, you can kind of identify the potential for, you know, you being targeted a little bit earlier. So of course, when it comes to stuff like this, if you are unsure, this is why we have, you know, a bunch of intelligence organizations looking into this to be able to kind of pick up on this, educate people on the new methods, how they're actually being contacted, how they're getting people invested into these relationships, and, you know, what to do if that does happen to you, which of course would just be like report it, whether it be to your security manager, your security personnel, your point of contact, whoever's kind of the stakeholder in a sense to that kind of information as far as like the secrecy or the safeguarding of that information, or like a local counterintelligence office to be able to kind of report it and be like, I think this is kind of what's happening here, or this person reached out to me and it's a little bit weird. And of course, there's general ways to kind of prevent this from happening as much. Of course, it's going to be a little bit harder when you're talking about websites like LinkedIn, because you are trying to, you know, put yourself out there to get these job offers or these networks to be able to kind of give yourself the ability to have more opportunities as far as employment. But again, when it comes to things that you put on there, again, you can kind of understand that if you have certain things on there, it will make you look like more of a lucrative target. And if you have other things like a phone number or an email, it just gives those foreign intelligence officers the ability to contact you by other means. They might not necessarily contact you on that social media website, but they can use your email or your phone number to contact you about something else. It might not even be professional related. And then of course this opens more of like the cyber aspect of everything. And this could be like malware or spear phishing, kind of like even steganography if they're trying to hide things in pictures or links. It just allows them to potentially get access to this information without even getting your buy-in. You know, if they just send you a link or an image and you click something and somehow it, you know, creates access to your system or, you know, the network, then that, you know, gives them pretty much everything that they need without actually getting the buy-in from you. But, you know, you might be in a position where you can accept these kind of foreign job offers, but for certain things, you know, if you're a retiree, for example, if you are going to be getting money or gifts from another foreign government, then that's something that you need to get approval for, because even if you're a retiree and you're doing something like that, they can, in a sense, garnish your wages if they find out that you are getting pay or compensation from a foreign government, because there's laws that kind of prevent you from, you know, collecting checks from both sides, basically. So yeah, I don't normally talk about kind of like intelligence topics like this on the channel, but again, this is a very interesting, very fascinating sort of topic as far as how widespread the issue actually is, and, you know, how much is actually happening on a day-to-day, and kind of just being able to provide some sort of education in case, you know, somebody does see this or they know somebody who's kind of experiencing something like it. So you're not ending up like, I forgot the dude's name here, but basically like, you know, Kevin Mallory kind of situation. But if you guys have any recommendations for any sort of like intelligence or more of like counterintelligence topics for me to check out on the channel, I'm more than willing to check them out, kind of talk about them from my kind of experience. And it's a little bit more of limited experience. I haven't been doing this for like 20, 30 years. However, there are certain methods and techniques that are, you know, pretty well known to the intelligence community. So kind of talking on the more broad strokes is pretty easy for these kinds of videos. So if you guys have any requests, definitely let me know. And I'll also put some references down in the video description if you guys want to kind of get a little bit more information on some of these techniques or some of these methods that are being used and kind of how they work. I'll put those down in the video description so you can kind of self-educate yourself on that. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. That is it for this one. I'll see you all in the next one.